I'm standing in the shadowed hall of the Eldridge Museum, its walls lined with relics that whisper secrets no one dares to hear. The air is thick, heavy with the scent of dust, and something metallic like blood long dried. Tonight, I'll uncover the truth behind the horrors that haunt this place, if I can survive the visit. The museum's doors groan shut behind me, sealing me inside with a thud that echoes like a coffin lid. My flashlight flickers, casting jagged shadows that twist into faces on the walls. Each step on the creaking floor feels like a summons, as if the artifacts are waking up to watch me. I pass a glass case holding a cracked porcelain doll, its eyes black and unblinking, staring straight through me. The plaque says it belonged to a girl who vanished in 1893, never seen again. A chill crawls up my spine as I swear I hear a faint giggle from inside the case. The corridor stretches endlessly, lined with portraits whose eyes seem to follow my every move. A cold breath brushes my neck, though I'm alone, or so I thought. Footsteps echo behind me, slow and deliberate, but when I turn, the hallway is empty. In the Civil War exhibit, a rusted bayonet glints under my light, stained with something too dark to be rust. The air grows colder, and a low moan fills the room, not from wind but something alive. I freeze as the display case rattles, the blade trembling as if eager to be free. I stumble into the taxidermy wing, where stuffed animals loom in unnatural poses, their glass eyes glinting with malice. A wolf's head jerks toward me, its jaws snapping shut with a crack that splits the silence. My heart pounds as I realize these creatures aren't as dead as they seem. The lights flicker, plunging me into darkness before snapping back on, revealing a figure at the hall's end. It's tall, cloaked in shadow, with no face, just a void where one should be. It doesn't move, but I feel its gaze boring into my soul, pulling me closer. I back away, tripping over a rope barrier, and crash into a display of ancient tools, sharp and cruel. A whisper slithers through the air, my name spoken in a voice that's not human. The tools clatter to the floor, arranging themselves into a symbol I can't unseen. In the Egyptian exhibit, a sarcophagus looms, its carved face grinning with too many teeth. The air hums with static, and my flashlight dies, leaving me in pitch black with the sound of stone grinding open. Something cold and bony brushes my arm, and I scream, running blind. I find a staircase leading to the basement, the only way forward, though every instinct screams to turn back. The air down here is damp, reeking of decay, and something sweeter, like rotting flowers. A faint scratching comes from the walls, growing louder with each step I take. The basement is a maze of crates and forgotten relics, some covered in sheets, stained with dark, wet patches. A child's laughter echoes, but it's wrong. Too deep, too slow, like a record played backward. I glimpse a small figure dart behind a crate, but its shadow is far too large. I find an old journal on a crate, its pages brittle and stained, detailing the museum's first curator. He wrote of gifts left by visitors who never left, their screams trapped in the walls. As I read, the words shift, forming my name in jagged, bleeding ink. The lights buzz and die again, and now the scratching is inside my skull, clawing at my thoughts. I drop the journal, and it flops open to a sketch of the faceless figure I saw upstairs. Its blank face seems to smile as the page curls, like it knows I'm here. I hear my name again, whispered from every corner, a chorus of voices that aren't human. The air grows thick, pressing against my chest, making it hard to breathe. Something heavy drags across the floor behind me, getting closer with every heartbeat. I stumble into a room filled with mirrors, each reflecting a version of me that's not quite right. One shows me with black eyes, another with no face, and a third with blood dripping from my mouth. The reflections laugh, their voices echoing inside my head, promising I'll stay. The faceless figure appears in every mirror now, standing behind my warped reflections, closer each time I blink. I smash a mirror, and the glass shards scream as they hit the floor, bleeding red. The figure is gone, but I feel its cold fingers tracing my spine. I run, tripping over crates, until I find a door marked staff only, barely hanging on its hinges. Inside, the walls are covered in claw marks, deep and frantic, as if someone tried to escape. A single light bulb swings, casting shadows that dance like they're alive. The bulb bursts, and in the dark, I hear wet, gurgling breaths inches from my face. I fumble for my lighter, and when it sparks, I see a face, gray, eyeless, with a mouth stretched too wide. It screams, and the sound rips through me, shaking the room. I bolt back to the stairs, my lighter flickering as the gurgling follows, now joined by the clatter of claws. The museum feels alive, its walls pulsing, closing in like a throat swallowing me whole. I reach the main hall, but the exit doors are gone, replaced by a blank wall. Halfway through this nightmare, I pause, my breath ragged, and think of you out there listening to my tale. If this chills you, carve your mark, subscribe, whisper your thoughts in a comment, and light a spark with a like to fend off these shadows. Your strength might just guide me through this darkness. The air shifts, and a new sound emerges, a low, rhythmic thumping, like a heartbeat under the floor. I find a hidden panel behind a painting, revealing a narrow tunnel dripping with black ooze. Against my better judgment, I crawl inside, the walls tightening around me. The tunnel reeks of rot, and my lighter reveals carvings of faces frozen in screams along the walls. The thumping grows louder, vibrating through my bones, and I realize it's not a heartbeat. It's footsteps. Something massive is moving in the dark, and it knows I'm here. I emerge in a chamber lit by flickering candles, arranged in a circle around a stone altar. The altar is stained with dark, crusted smears, and a knife lies on it, its blade etched with writhing symbols. The air hums with a chant I can't understand, but it makes my skin crawl. Shadows move at the edge of the light, tall and thin, their limbs bending in ways that defy nature. They don't approach, but their whispers fill my head, urging me to pick up the knife. I resist, but my hand trembles, drawn to the blade like a magnet. The candles flare, and the shadows solidify into figures with hollow faces, their mouths opening to reveal endless voids. They chant my name now, their voices blending into a wail that shakes the chamber. The knife burns in my hand, and I drop it, blood welling from my palm. I run, the tunnel collapsing behind me, stones falling like teeth snapping shut. Back in the basement, the air is thicker, and the child's laughter returns, now joined by a woman's sob. I see her in the corner, her face buried in her hands, but when she looks up, her eyes are gone. The sobbing woman lunges, her hands clawing at the air, and I dodge, crashing into a crate that splits open. Inside are bones, human and fresh, still slick with blood. The woman's sobs turn to laughter, and the bones rattle, assembling into a skeletal figure that stands. The skeleton moves, its joints creaking as it reaches for me with bony fingers. I swing my flashlight, and it shatters against the skull, but the bones keep coming, reforming faster than I can break them. The woman's laughter grows louder, echoing in my skull, driving me mad. I find another staircase, this one spiraling upward, the walls slick with something that smells like death. The skeleton's clattering follows, joined by the gurgling breaths from before, now a chorus of horrors. At the top, I emerge into the main hall, but it's changed, twisted, wrong. The portraits now show my face, bloodied and screaming, painted in strokes that look wet. The doll from earlier sits on a pedestal, its head turned to face me, its mouth open in a silent scream. The air vibrates with a low hum, and the floor cracks, oozing black liquid. The faceless figure reappears, now joined by others, their voids staring as they glide toward me. I throw myself at the blank wall where the door should be, pounding until my fists bleed. The wall pulses, and a crack forms, revealing not an exit but a void of endless dark. The figures close in, their whispers now screams, promising I'll join the museum's collection. The doll's giggle returns, now a shriek, and the skeleton's bones clatter closer, its fingers brushing my neck. I dive into the void, falling into cold, endless nothing, my screams swallowed whole. I wake on the museum floor, daylight streaming through windows that weren't there before. My body aches, and my hands are bloodied, but the exit doors are back, wide open. I stumble out, the morning air sharp, but I feel the museum's eyes on me, waiting for my return. Years later, I visit the Thornwood Museum, a place rumored to hold artifacts cursed by a forgotten cult. The lobby is grand, all marble and gold, but the air feels wrong, like it's holding its breath. I'm here to face the terror again, to prove I'm not broken by Eldritch. The guard hands me a map, his smile too wide, his eyes too empty, like he's not all there. The map is old, stained, with rooms marked in red ink that looks fresh. I hear a faint hum, like the one from Eldritch, and my stomach twists, but I keep going. The first exhibit is filled with ancient masks, their carved mouths twisted in agony or rage. One mask, made of bone, seems to pulse, and when I blink, it's facing me. A plaque says it was worn by a priest who sacrificed his own heart, and I feel mine pound. The lights dim, and the masks start to whisper, their voices overlapping in a language I don't know. I back away, but the floor tilts, and I fall, the map slipping from my hand. When I pick it up, new red marks have appeared, circling the room I'm in. I find a hallway lined with clocks, all stopped at 3:13, their ticks loud despite being frozen. A cold wind blows through, carrying the scent of ash and something sour. The clocks chime at once, and the walls bleed, red dripping down in rivulets. In the next room, a display of old photographs shows people with no faces, just smooth, blank skin. One photo shows me, standing in this very room, though I've never been here before. The frame cracks as I stare, and the photo's edges curl, burning black. The hum grows louder, and I hear footsteps again, heavy and uneven, like something dragging itself. I turn to see a figure in a tattered robe, its face hidden by a hood, holding a staff that pulses with green light. It points at me, and the floor shakes, cracking beneath my feet. I run into a room of mirrors, but these reflect nothing. No me, no room, just endless black. A voice whispers from the glass, telling me to stay, to become part of the collection. The mirrors shatter, and the shards float, forming a face that screams my name. The robed figure appears again, now closer, its staff leaving trails of green fire in the air. I dodge and find a trapdoor under a rug, leading to a damp cellar filled with jars. Each jar holds something moving, eyes, fingers, and hearts, watching me through the glass. The cellar walls are carved with symbols that glow faintly, burning my eyes when I look too long. The jars rattle, their contents slamming against the glass, cracking it. The robed figure's footsteps echo above, and I know it's coming for me, its staff humming with power. I find a ladder leading up, but the rungs are slick with slime, and I slip, barely catching myself. The jars burst behind me, and the air fills with the stench of rot and wet screams. I climb faster, emerging into a room with a single chair and a noose hanging above it. The noose sways, though there's no breeze, and the chair creaks as if someone just stood up. The robed figure steps from the shadows, its head falling back to reveal a face made of writhing worms. I scream, and the room spins, the noose tightening around nothing, yet. I bolt through a side door, finding myself back in the lobby, but the guard is gone, his desk covered in dust. The exit is locked, and the windows show not daylight, but a swirling void of stars. The hum is deafening now, and the walls pulse, closing in like a heartbeat. The robed figure appears again, its worm face grinning, and the masks from the exhibit float around it. They chant in unison, their voices drilling into my skull, promising eternal display. I smash the window, and the void pulls me in, cold and endless, swallowing my scream. I wake in my car outside Thornwood, the museum dark and silent, as if I never entered. My hands are marked with symbols, burned into my skin, and the map is on my lap, blank now. I drive away, but I know both museums are waiting, their doors always open for me. Now, coming to our last story, it was in New York. I stand at the entrance of the Blackwood Museum in upstate New York, my cousin Jake beside me, both of us drawn by whispers of its cursed relics. The night is moonless, the air heavy with a chill that seeps into our bones, promising secrets better left buried. We're here to uncover the truth behind the horrors, but the museum's dark windows stare back like eyes, daring us to step inside. The massive oak doors creak open, swallowing us into a dim lobby where dust dances in our flashlight beams. Jake's nervous laugh echoes, but it's cut short by a low, guttural hum from deep within the building. Our footsteps on the marble floor sound too loud, like we're intruders in a place that's already claimed us. We pass a display of ancient jewelry, necklaces glinting with stones that seem to pulse faintly red. The plaque mentions a cult that wore them during rituals, their owners never seen again. I swear I see one necklace tighten, as if choking an invisible neck, and Jake grabs my arm. The hallway stretches into shadows, lined with paintings of stern figures whose eyes track our every move. A cold draft brushes my neck, carrying a whisper that sounds like my name, but Jake hears us too. We turn, but the corridor behind us is empty, though the air feels crowded, alive with unseen watchers. In the weaponry exhibit, rusted swords and axes gleam under our lights, their edges stained with something dark encrusted. A sudden clang echoes as a dagger falls from its stand, landing point up in the floor. Jake's eyes widen as the blade trembles, carving a jagged line toward us without being touched. We stumble into a room of taxidermied animals, their glass eyes glinting with a hunger that makes my skin crawl. A stuffed raven's head jerks toward us, its beak snapping shut with a crack that splits the silence. Jake swears it wasn't facing us before, and I notice its talons twitching, as if ready to pounce. The lights flicker, plunging us into darkness, then snap back to reveal a figure at the room's far end. It's tall, cloaked in tattered rags, its face a void where features should be, radiating cold malice. It doesn't move, but its presence presses against us, urging us to come closer. I pull Jake back, tripping over a rope barrier, crashing into a case of ancient tools, their blades sharp and cruel. A voice hisses our names, not from the figure but from the tools themselves, vibrating in their case. The air grows thick, and I feel something cold slither across my hand, like fingers with no warmth. We run to the next exhibit, an Egyptian room with a towering sarcophagus, its carved face grinning too wide. Our flashlights die, and in the dark, we hear stone grinding, like the sarcophagus lid sliding open. Jake's hand shakes in mine as something leathery brushes my leg, and I choke back a scream. We find a staircase to the basement, the air growing damp and sour, reeking of rot and old blood. Each step groans under our weight, and a faint scratching follows us, like nails dragging along the walls. At the bottom, the darkness feels alive, pressing against us, whispering promises of eternal rest. The basement is a labyrinth of crates, some draped in sheets, stained with dark, wet patches. A child's giggle echoes, high and wrong, like it's mimicking something it doesn't understand. Jake points to a shadow darting between crates, too tall and thin to be human, its limbs bending backward. We find a dusty ledger on a crate, its pages detailing disappearances tied to the museum's opening in 1876. The words blur as we read, reforming into our names in jagged, bloody ink. Jake drops the book, and it flops open to a sketch of the faceless figure, its void smiling at us. The lights buzz and die, leaving us in blackness, the scratching now inside our heads, clawing at our thoughts. Jake's flashlight flickers back on, revealing claw marks on the crate, fresh and deep, as if carved seconds ago. The giggle returns closer, and I feel breath on my neck cold and wet. We stumble into a room of mirrors, each showing us twisted, my eyes black, Jake's face blank, blood dripping from our mouths. The reflections laugh, their voices echoing in our skulls, promising we'll never leave. The faceless figure appears behind us in every mirror, its void closer with each blink. I smash a mirror, and the shards scream, bleeding red as they hit the floor, forming a pattern that burns my eyes. Jake pulls me away, but the figure's cold fingers brush my spine, and I feel it tugging at my soul. We run, the mirrors shattering behind us, their screams chasing us down the hall. We find a door marked restricted, its hinges rusted, barely holding it up. Inside, the walls are covered in frantic scratches, some spelling words like help, and trapped in uneven lines. A single bulb swings, casting shadows that twist into shapes with too many limbs, watching us. The bulb bursts, and in the dark, wet, gurgling breaths fill the air, inches from my face. Jake's lighter sparks, revealing a gray, eyeless face with a mouth stretched into a gaping maw. Its scream shakes the room, and we bolt, the gurgling following, joined by the clatter of claws. We reach the main hall, but the exit doors are gone, replaced by a pulsing, black wall that hums with the same rhythm as our hearts. The paintings now show our faces, screaming, painted in wet, red strokes that drip to the floor. The air vibrates, and the floor cracks, oozing a black liquid that smells of death. This is the last story I'll tell, the final descent into the horrors of Blackwood, where shadows claim their own. If you follow me this far, carve your mark, subscribe, whisper your thoughts in a comment, and light a spark with a like to keep these terrors at bay. Your strength might be the only thing holding back the dark. The black liquid rises, lapping at our ankles, cold and thick like tar, pulling us toward the wall. Jake screams as something grabs his leg, a hand with too many fingers, emerging from the ooze. I pull him free, but the wall pulses faster, and the hum becomes a roar, shaking our bones. We find a hidden panel behind a portrait, revealing a tunnel slick with black slime that reeks of decay. We crawl inside, the walls closing in, carved with faces frozen in silent screams. The scratching returns, louder, and I realize it's not behind us. It's ahead, waiting. The tunnel opens into a chamber lit by flickering torches, arranged around a stone altar stained with dark, crusted smears. A dagger lies on it, its blade etched with symbols that writhe like worms under my gaze. The air hums with a chant, low and guttural, making my skin crawl. Shadows flicker at the torchlight's edge, tall and thin, their limbs bending in unnatural angles, watching us. They whisper, urging us to take the dagger, their voices slithering into our minds. Jake's hand twitches toward it, and I slap it away, blood welling from my palm where the blade nicked me. The torches flare, and the shadows become figures with hollow faces, their mouths voids that chant our names. The dagger burns in my hand, though I don't remember picking it up, and Jake's eyes glaze over, staring at the altar. The chant grows louder, and the room shakes, stones cracking above us. We run, the tunnel collapsing behind us, stones falling like jaws snapping shut. Back in the basement, the child's giggle mixes with a woman's sob, and we see her, faceless, her hands clawing the air. Jake screams as she lunges, and I pull him into a side passage, the sobs turning to laughter. The passage leads to a crate-filled room, one splitting open to reveal bones, fresh and slick with blood. The bones rattle, assembling into a skeletal figure that lurches toward us, its jaw clacking. I swing my flashlight, shattering its skull, but it reforms faster, its bony fingers grazing my neck. We find a spiral staircase, its steps slick with something that smells like rot, leading upward. The skeleton's clatter follows, joined by the gurgling breaths, now a chorus of horrors closing in. At the top, the main hall is wrong, twisted with walls that pulse like flesh. The paintings now bleed, our faces melting in red streaks, and the jewelry from earlier floats, necklaces tightening in the air. The faceless figure reappears, joined by others, their voids staring as they glide toward us. Jake trips, and I pull him up, but the black liquid rises, swallowing the floor. We pound on the pulsing wall where the door should be, our fists leaving bloody prints that sink into it. The figures close in, their whispers now screams, promising we'll join the museum's collection. The wall cracks, revealing a void, and I push Jake through, diving after him into endless dark. We wake outside, sprawled on the museum's lawn, dawn breaking over the silent building. Our hands are marked with symbols, burned into our skin, and Jake's eyes are haunted, reflecting my own fear. The museum looms behind us, its doors cracked open, waiting for our return.